Greetings everyone, and welcome to another Sol at the Movies. I just got back from seeing The Grinch by Illumination Entertainment. Here are my thoughts on it. So, in Illumination's retelling of Dr. Seuss's How the Grinch Stole Christmas, their version of the Grinch is that the Grinch is, well, a Grinch, and he doesn't like Christmas so much. When he goes down to Whoville, he finds that all Whos, they just love Christmas so dang much, he decides that he's done with Christmas and that it needs to go away, so he plans to steal it. He's gonna steal Christmas. So he devises a plan with his dog Max and a reindeer who he names Fred to steal Christmas from out from under the Whos. So, I mean, look, if you just take the plot from the Dr. Seuss version as it is, there's nothing wrong with it, it's perfectly fine. The problem is that they don't really take the plot from the original Dr. Seuss story. In the original Dr. Seuss story, the Grinch was just a Grinch who didn't like the greed and selfishness of the holiday. He saw all of the Whos with their toys and their gadgets and everything like that, and he thought that it didn't represent Christmas. You know, not in a religious way, it's just he didn't like the greed. So he was like, I'm gonna steal it from them and let's see them celebrate Christmas without their toys and their games and everything like that. And then they can celebrate Christmas even without it because maybe Christmas means a little bit more. That's the point of the story. Illumination's Grinch, that's not the point of the story. The point of the story is that the Grinch was sad because he didn't get to experience Christmas with a family. He grew up in an orphanage. That's missing the point of the Grinch. Now, I know I uploaded a video that basically complained about the entirety of the Grinch, but I was so angry that I don't think I really was able to comment on some of the smaller things that bugged me. And of course, I'm not able to replicate that level of anger that I was at immediately after seeing the movie. But, well, so this plot, when you just boil it down to the most basic of the Seuss story parts is fine, but everything that Illumination packs on top is worthless. Completely contradictory, worthless story points. I don't know why they did. I mean, like, yeah, the original story was maybe, what, 20 minutes, and they had to stretch it out to an hour and 30 minutes, but why? Everything they added was so pointless. But anyway, the Grinch. So, the Grinch isn't very Grinchy in this movie. He's very calm and level-headed and, like, well-spoken and nice. You know, he does some asshole-ish things every now and then, but he's not a Grinch, necessarily. A Grinch is like an unredeemable asshole until he realizes that the spirit of the holiday isn't in the things that you give, it's the kindness and love that you receive, you know, that kind of thing, and then his heart grows two sizes. The movie starts by saying nobody's sure why the Grinch feels the way he does. Maybe his shoes are too tight, or it's because his heart was two sizes too small, but the movie is insistent that the reason why he's like it is because he was alone at Christmas. It has nothing to do with his heart being two sizes too small. And then at the end, when his heart grows three sizes, it's like, but that wasn't the point, because his heart was kind of already sort of fine through the whole thing. He shows flashes of like, aw, that's sweet, aw, Christmas cheer, and everything like that, and it misses the point. Why establish that you don't know the reason why the Grinch is so miserable at Christmas, or he hates Christmas so much, if you're just gonna completely forget the reason as to why he's so miserable? God, it misses the point so badly. And the other characters that they pack on, Cindy Lou, who's supposed to be 2 years old, keep in mind. In the original story, she's 2 years old. In this one, she's like a sporty, feisty middle girl from Despicable Me. I honestly can't remember her name. I want to say Margot, but I think she's the youngest one. I don't remember her name. But yeah, she's like this like sporty, spunky kind of person. But then she has her whole entourage of friends, and she wants her mom to be less overworked. That's what she wishes for Christmas, and so she devises this plan to trap Santa so that she can wish for it? What kind of shit is that? I mean, Cindy Lou Who was not particularly important to the story. I mean, she was important to the original story, but she wasn't like a main character or anything like that. But this one, she takes up a pretty significant chunk of the movie because they gotta pad out that runtime like crazy. And wow, she is bad. Every time the movie cut back to her, it just made me want to cut myself. Just her B-plot is so stupid, and it doesn't end up going anywhere because the mom doesn't actually get, like, any time off or anything like that. So what does the Grinch do? He takes a cake and a piece of the dinner from her. That's not fulfilling her wish, that's just taking a couple pieces of food from her and putting it on the table. God, it just, like, I'm okay if a movie introduces a B-plot that's dumb, as long as it has some sort of point. But this movie's B-plots don't have a point. There's a B-plot does not have a point, so what's the point? Just, okay, and then there's Max the dog, who admittedly is fine, he's just a dog. But the problem is with Max is that in the original story, the Grinch was kind of horrible to him. Like, the Grinch is supposed to be someone who can't express feelings of love or affection until he gets shown the error of his ways at the end. But in this one, he treats Max nice. Like, not always nice, he's a bit disrespectful to him, but he treats him nice. It misses the point, and then in the end when they put the antler hat on his head, I'm just like, they didn't start with one antler, they had like a bunch of antlers and he couldn't hold up the weight. Okay, but Max as a character is fine, I guess, I don't really have any complaints. There's a bunch of side characters too, one of which I can't even remember his name. He's like some jolly who, and he's just like really enthusiastic about the holiday, and he contributes absolutely nothing to the story. So he's stupid, and then there's Fred the reindeer, who's in it for all of like 10 minutes, and then he comes back in the climax he literally just teleports in the climax. It's so stupid. This whole movie is so stupid. I was originally, like, what's good about this movie? I originally had a compliment about the lighting, but then, it turns out that just upon a slightly closer inspection, the lighting is actually not very good, so I had to take that compliment away. So nothing about this movie is good to me. The animation is lazy, the story is awful, the characters miss the point entirely, I cannot stress how bad the music is. Somebody commented on my previous video and said, like, the music is, the score is fine. The score is very bland. It's one of Danny Elfman's most bland scores, really, but the music, the soundtrack, is god-awful. Like, a rap version of The Grinch, where you can barely understand what the words are, just great. Doing a great job there. It's just what this movie represents that pisses me off so much. Everything is wrong with this movie. The fact that they try to modernize the story, the fact that it takes place on Earth, like there are references to Canada in it with the Canadian maple syrup and everything like that, and it's like, so, okay, so you're saying the whole world is just regular people except for this one area has who's in it, or are you saying that who's are in every part of the world, in which case why would you call it Whoville? That's like calling a place Humanburg or something like that. It's so fucking stupid! Everything about this movie is so stupid! It's... I really want to describe, like, point by point why this movie is so awful, but it won't matter because the people who like it are just gonna get mad at me anyway. If my first video's comments are any indication of what people feel about this movie, it's the fact that they don't see it as the worst thing ever. That means it's acceptable in their eyes. And okay, fine, if you feel that way, I don't care, but that doesn't mean you can lambast me for my feelings, and I personally feel that this is the worst Illumination movie ever. Yes, worse than the Lorax, because at least the Lorax tries to get its message across in a way that could make sense. Sort of, like, it doesn't really contradict itself, I would say, except in the whole advertising thing, but that's outside of the movie's scope. In this movie, it misses the point of the story entirely. So, like, the Lorax kind of got it right. This one, not at all. Not a single thing about this movie is right in any way. Every single aspect of it is shoddy, miscast, missed the point, just awful garbage. And I could not recommend this movie to anybody. Even if you're a die-hard Grinch fan, it would just piss you off. And I'm not a die-hard Grinch fan, and it pisses me off. So if you like your mediocre, trash movies that pander to the audience and make you feel good without making any sort of point, the kind of movies that make you go like, that's sweet, or, I love Christmas. It doesn't make you feel anything beyond that. It doesn't make you think. It doesn't make you question anything. It doesn't give you anything surprising or unique or interesting. Then you go ahead and enjoy those. I mean, that's why the Transformers movies keep getting made, right? But I'm sorry, my standards are a little bit too higher than that, and I think that this is the worst movie that's come out this year. Yes, worse than Sherlock Gnomes, and I didn't think I was going to be able to say that, but yes, it is worse than Sherlock Gnomes. It was the only movie that I've seen in the theaters, except for one other, that I wanted to walk out of after about 10 minutes. And the only other movie I ever felt that way was The Nut Job 2, which was like my crowning pinnacle of awfulness. I wouldn't say that The Grinch is worse than The Nut Job 2, because The Nut Job 2 is like in its own level of awfulness, but this is just, oh my god, it's the pacing is bizarre. Oh, everything about this is wrong. But hey, if you like this movie, you probably already clicked away from the video anyway, or you're just gonna leave a dislike and be like, Grinch is so bad. I'm sorry I'm so aggressive about this, but I can't believe how bad this movie is. I feel so bad for Dr. Seuss, and all I can hope is that people do better in the future with his stories, but given the past, I'm not holding out much hope. And that's all I have to say about that.